21st century Caribbean. It continues to provide a platform for citizens to share their voices and perspectives, challenge dominant narratives, and to promote social change. In the midst of all these changes, what is the role of community media and more specifically community radio in the 21st century? Well, we're going to hear. This is what we all are here to learn over the course of the next 2 hours, and I can assure you that this will accelerate your understanding of what community media is. And while we begin, I want to ask you all, or before we begin, to stand while we honor our country with the playing of the national anthem. Please stand. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Now, I'm very thankful that I didn't get the task to sing, because I'm sure you all hear that I'm not a singer. But we move along. So, as I was tasked in introducing our speaker, I went searching for a bio, and all the information that popped up was like decades ago, though relevant. It was old, and I was saying to myself, how is it that I sat in countless events of this sort, hearing this speaker, our very own campus director, Dr. Patrick Prendergast, to have not learned much about him? What I do know, however, is that Dr. Patrick Prendergast is no stranger to community media. In fact, he has extensive experience as a television producer. He was a director, writer, and actor, as well as radio production and presentation. Asking you all to give a round of applause to our campus director, Dr. Patrick Prendergast.
Good morning, everyone. I seem to be all over the place. I know we're running a little bit behind time, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. The first thing I want to say is that I'm always very, very happy to have these kinds of events on the campus. One of our objectives really is to ensure that the campus remains a higher education space, so that when people say they're going to a university campus, they look forward to coming to the UA Mona Western Jamaica campus. I think these kinds of events actually help us to demonstrate that there is application between the classroom and the real world. So we're very happy to have these events. And so the second thing then I would want to do is to congratulate the students, particularly the CARMAC students who are responsible for staging this event. But on a personal and professional level, I really want to congratulate them for taking on such a significant topic. I will say, even though the focus is on community media, it's broadly speaking media and communication, and how, especially in recent times, the technologies have changed the way we do things in the industry, and certainly across the entire information and communication industry. But we are also seeing some significant changes at the community level, either whether that be at the individual community or the geographic community or in the communities of interest. We've really seen how the technologies have changed how media treat with those kinds of spaces. Community radio in particular is about empowerment. And broadly speaking, community media seeks to do that, to provide the channels and avenues and platforms for empowerment, for allowing what would be considered the voice of the voiceless, allowing us to actually find a way to not just connect with each other, but certainly to bring some kind of presence to the issues that affect us most at the local level. So, in terms of learning how to manage those resources, in terms of just learning how to use the technologies as they advance and transform, that's very important for us at the community media level, and certainly in terms of community radio itself. And so I want to therefore, extend special welcome to those who are engaged with us in the online platform, or I would say in the various online platforms. And I also want to especially welcome one of our mainstay in terms of community radio stations, More FM, to this particular exercise. It's really good that we can have that kind of presence at events like these. So, welcome to the University of the West Indies, Mona, Western Jamaica campus. Welcome to this WESTMAC event, special event. And I really and truly hope that, we'll all leave here much more inspired and having a deeper understanding of what is happening, broadly speaking, in media and communication, but specifically at the community media level. It is my responsibility to hand over to our first speaker. I'm right? Our UNESCO presentation. The truth is that we cannot do and have not been doing anything at the community radio level without the support of UNESCO. I don't want to give away anything. I really don't know what it is that Dr. Hector is going to speak to. So what I'll do is just, do a quick introduction, really. Dr. Paul Hector is a person of many parts. I'm happy to say that he's a Caribbean man. He hails from St. Kitts and Nevis and has been working for the United Nations for more than 20 years. At the UN, he has focused on knowledge-based development, advising governments and institutions in the design and implementation of project initiatives and policy actions that seek to overcome knowledge and digital divides, very important area of study across Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean, Asia Pacific, and the Middle East. I pause here in introducing Dr. Hector because one of the things that I want to mention is not just that Dr. Hector is a Caribbean person, but those with whom we engage today and certainly throughout CARIMAC Week are persons drawn from across the entire Caribbean space. And the lecture this afternoon will show you that, and certainly the lecture tomorrow evening will also show that. Paul is an alumnus of the University of the West Indies, the University of the West Indies, as we were reminded several times this morning in some interviews going on, where he pursued a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. Engineering is one of those areas I'm pretty sure the person from More FM will love to hear some more about. But yes, he's been in civil and structural engineering projects at both the local and international level, and he basically holds multiple masters in that area, and of course, doctoral degrees in management, science, knowledge, and information management. He has also taught in leading European business school and is affiliated to the academic research labs in Asia and Europe, and of course would have contributed through various publications. I'm particularly happy to know that he's a coach and mentor, and has been preparing students for the world of work at the University of Washington, and certainly here at the University of the West Indies. We have direct connections, personal connections there, Dr. Hector, in relation to University of Washington, and certainly here at the University of the West Indies. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our UNESCO speaker for this morning, Dr. Paul Hector.
Pendergrass for that very generous introduction. It's always, much greater. Let me jump into my here in the Caribbean. So I will address, I will share a little bit about some of what we're doing, and then I will address very briefly a little bit about some of what we're doing, and then I will look very briefly at community media, at the work which is being done by UNESCO. The community, I will also talk about some which is being done by UNESCO for collaboration. I will also with the University of the West Indies in taking forward this very important and shared project of engaging with communities in this area. So first of all, let me talk a little bit about the UNESCO office. So we're based here in Kingston, Jamaica, and we're covering some 20 countries, both Dutch and English-speaking Caribbean countries, and we also include countries on the mainland, namely Guyana, mainland. And Suriname, Guyana, Belize, so we have and Suriname, a fairly large footprint of countries that we're covering. Large footprint of countries that we're covering. I think most of you are familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals. This is a set of goals adopted in 2015 and which are being implemented and pursued over the period 2015 to 2030, which basically seeks to ensure that every person everywhere on the planet is able to benefit from, or rather to exercise all of the rights which have been guaranteed to them under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Of course, this includes things like media, freedom of expression, but also the cultural, economic, and social rights. And so, of course, ensuring that everyone has access to all these rights and is able to exercise them, it requires not just the involvement of governments, but also the involvement of the private sector, the involvement of civil society, universities, and of course individuals. And within this platform, media plays a very important role. Media as a force which goes out and informs, educates, which investigates, which assesses and holds duty bearers to account in terms of the implementation of various projects, irrespective of which space, whether it's in the area of health, in the area of education, agriculture, industry, to ensure that all the various initiatives captured within the Sustainable Development Goals are being addressed. So, coming back to what I said about, or rather building on what I said, All work is being carried out across the Caribbean. We work within the framework of some 6 UN country teams, and you can see some young ladies here, with very happy faces. One of the priority areas for UNESCO is, of course, gender, and so of course we engage very much in projects which are gender inclusive. Again, if we think about the Caribbean, within the Caribbean, something like 63% of the population is within the youth category. So youth is also a very important demographic. And of course, youth being the future of this region, it is really important that they have the necessary skills to effectively use the media platforms. It's important that we build their resilience. We know, for example, that I think COVID, which is not too distant in our memory, it's something which unleashed what is often as the disinfodemic, where we saw the impact of disinformation, misinformation, the so-called fake news, creating havoc not only in the areas of health, but also in the areas of various objectives, the economy, for example. And with this in mind, it becomes really important that we ensure that youth, and in fact all users, are equipped with the necessary skills to critically analyze and dissect the information which comes to them. We, of course, are talking about community media, so we are also very much concerned with leveraging the power of youth to be content creators. And of course, making sure that in this content creation activities and content dissemination work that they exercise, that they do not be part of this, whether intentionally or inadvertently. I didn't mention to you earlier, but UNESCO has 5 sectors. We have which focuses on education, a sector which is focused on natural and physical sciences and engineering sciences, a third sector which focuses very much on the area of social and human sciences, then a sector on culture, and of course communication and information. And here you can see the strategic priorities within our communication and information program. Again, of course, at the top we see freedom of expression, media development, and access to information and knowledge. And this is something really at the core of what community media seeks to do. We heard earlier Dr. Prendergast, he talked about communities, whether these communities are geographic or clustered around some particular interest. This media makes sure that their right to express themselves, to access the information which is specific to and relevant to their own daily needs, that this becomes available. And here we can see some of these pillars which make this goal of promoting freedom of expression, ensuring media development and access to information and knowledge possible. So again, of course, freedom of expression and the right to access, whether online or offline. We heard about the importance of free and pluralistic and independent media, or MC, introduced today's topic. And we've already heard references to technologies, digital technologies, which are now part of this very much converging landscape. And I think it's also very important to also consider our documentary heritage. As community media practitioners, one of the things that we produce is content, whether it's audiovisual, in the case of those who are operating on, let's say, internet platforms, or in the case of community television studios. We also have the radio, the sound reels which are created, and these are all very important testimonies of the types of contents which are important to the various communities, the issues which they focus on. And so it's very important that not only do we produce and disseminate, but that we also seek to safeguard this memory. And community media is really quite powerful. Now, in the Caribbean, we have societies which, to a large extent, are very oral. So radio plays a very important role in capturing the knowledge of past generations and safeguarding it for future generations. Now let's jump into it on community media. What I'm going to do is very quickly just touch on a document which UNESCO has developed. It's called, I have it here in my hand, it's called Community Media Sustainability. And I just want to touch on some of the issues which UNESCO has identified as being very important to ensure that community media is sustained. As many of you are aware, the important role played by media institutions of ensuring that information that is relevant for decision making, for public participation, this business model is currently under threat. And similarly, in the case of community media, which tends to be a which addresses a much smaller niche of the public, a much smaller sector. Challenges of viability, challenges of sustainability are even greater. So I just wanted to go very quickly and touch on, and there's 6 areas which have been identified. One is the need for a clear definition of community broadcasting. A second aspect is formal recognition in. Then, because it is unique and very different in nature to public broadcasting and commercial broadcasting, there's a need for specific licensing systems. During my presentation today, I won't touch so much on the remaining 3 items. The ones these are channels on which they broadcast. I won't touch so much on the issue of equitable access to funding, whether it's from the public purse or from communities or other areas, nor will I touch much on the aspect of the sort of analog to digital transition. I'm just going to focus on the first 3, UE and other actors in this space. So, defining community radio. UNESCO looks at sort of 3 characteristics. One, first of all, independence, the not-for-profit nature of community radio. This is something which is very important. Governance. We see in most community radios, there's a very large presence, engagement by the communities who this content is being generated for, in determining the policy, the programming, the way in which it operates, many times serving even as volunteers in these institutions. In terms of service, again, community radio, it's often very much of a niche area. So again, looking at specific, whether if it's this broadcaster may produce radio musical content, for example, which is popular across the country, but there may be specific genres of music which originate in specific locales which are not aired on the national broadcaster. So community radio can provide a very important outlet for the creativity and other types of creation and innovation within small areas. Likewise, addressing specific topics which are of relevance. Again, if we think about different types of communities, for example, persons with disabilities, if we think of this community, for example, there may be information which this group needs, which is not necessarily available in the mainstream media. So we see that as a result of these factors, community radio produces a lot of it highlights issues which are neglected in the larger spaces. So it gives it gives voice to communities which would otherwise be voiceless, and it provides content which is relevant and necessary, but not addressed by the market or the public broadcasters. Now, there's also a need for formal recognition of community broadcasting, because if that's not the case, if there's no specific recognition within the legal framework, then what it means then is that community broadcasters, which often operate under much lower budgets, they will find themselves having to face the same types of regulations that public broadcasters and commercial broadcasters must also face. So there is a need for, if you want to say, a differentiation which supports and favors the presence of the community broadcasters. Let's talk finally about sort of licensing systems. Again, because of the nature of community radio, UNESCO advocates for the use of what we call fairly light touch and low entrance, low in the community media space. Again, we think that just like any other type of broadcaster, transparency and fairness is important. We see there's a need for independent regulators who should oversee the licensing processes, and depending on the particular context, it may be possible for you to have competitive processes whereby various community operators who wish to establish community medias may submit competitive requests. Of course, spectrum, it's something you're in a market which is very active, then of course competitive processes could be reasonable. But if not, then these cases, these requests should be able to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. Many typically media houses benefit from a number of privileges. So, for example, we know, coming back to this whole issue of freedom of expression, the confidentiality of sources is also something which is very important. So it is very important that community radio, that they're able. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our work with a number of specific communities. So the first community that I'd like to look at is the community of persons with disabilities. Now, some of this is a bit general in the sense that, as we know, media has the possibility to shape and frame expectations, to set trends. And coming back to what I said about the Sustainable Development Goals, which has as its aim, its overarching aim, the idea of not leaving anyone behind, the role of media in uh, persons with disabilities as equals, as persons who are also worthy to benefit from and enjoy all of the freedoms that any other person is able to enjoy. This is something which becomes very important. And so we see that community media being a niche group, we see them as having a special responsibility for making sure that the needs of persons with disabilities are placed, forefront in their work. And this, of course, spreads across a number of domains. Again, community media, again, being local, they often have the possibility of being part of the sort of first response in any types of crisis. So I can recall, for example, when I was based in the South Pacific, one of the groups that I worked with were the community radios, in which put out the information well in advance of impending typhoons, well, which are quite similar to hurricanes. And many of these community radio stations, they played a key role in ensuring, for example, that persons with disabilities received early warnings and could be taken care of. Awareness about the capabilities of persons with disabilities, but also engaging them within the production of content. I think the statement, nothing about us without us, has become pretty much a mantra in the persons with disabilities communities. And you can see here that despite whatever limitations they may have, they can also be very active, articulate, and able content creators and disseminators. Now, the period 2022 to 2032 has been designated by UNESCO as the International Decade of People with Disabilities. This is another group which in many countries find themselves marginalized, pushed to the margins, often not having a very prominent role in government, often speaking languages which are unique to them, and mainstream media. And of course, this is a condition, a situation. Within the Caribbean, we have recently been working in Lucia with certain linguistic communities. In the case of Dominica, we have communities which are Amerindian, so Carib Indians. In the case of St. Lucia, we have something which is quite interesting. Now, it's not quite the case of an indigenous language. In St. Lucia, however, when you look at the media landscape, you see that just about 1% of the radio and television broadcast content is in Creole. And so one of the things that we have done last year, we started a training program where we equipped young journalists with the skills, the tools, so that they could start broadcasting across the island in Creole. And we've also worked with them to ensure that this content to larger stations so that there could be more airplay. So again, here we see a sort of a hybrid between the sort of spirit of community radio, the sense of a small community, but then also seeking to have a sort of a different impact in larger communities. Now, let's just to wrap up, I just would like to mention a couple of things that we like to do here in the Caribbean. Now, in the past, we've done work for FM 89.9, where we developed a community broadcast program, which was aimed at the rehabilitation of inmates in 3 of the prisons in Jamaica. We've also done projects in Belize, and I've just mentioned the work in St. Lucia. I know there are many actors out there who are producing content, serving various communities. And one of the things we'd like to do is to conduct a mapping of the Caribbean media landscape. And we hope that groups like CARIMAC, the University of the West Indies, you can join forces with us. And then, of course, looking at the policies. What types of policies exist to support and ensure that community media thrives and is able to do and deliver at its best? Again, I read of disinformation, misinformation. There is an urgent need for all citizens to acquire media and information literacy skills, so that they can not only be informed consumers of information, but also informed creators, content creators, and disseminators. So that's something that's really, really important. How can we map which, and of course also linking this to the world of work. And then finally, business models. It's really essential that if community media is going to sustain itself, we need to find business models that address not only the public value, but also ensure that sufficient funds come in to ensure its viability. Finally, there are a number of resources that UNESCO has created. You can see a number of them here. And I look forward to opportunities to share these resources with you and to continue engagement.
Dr. Paul Hector for that wonderful presentation. As Dr. Prendergast rightfully said, we could not have an event of this kind without the involvement of UNESCO, especially since a key function of the organization is community and information, key factors of a functioning society, and that you have so generously shared with us today. Thank you. Our next presenter boasts the title of Content and Digital Boss, right? Now I'm interested to see, or to hear rather, why this is so. So equally important to mention is that the Content and Digital Boss is also a media consultant. He is an event host, TV and radio personality, journalist, senior news reporter and manager, and TV radio producers are just a few hats that Mr. Shannon Dale Reed wears. Tune your eyes to the screen and help me welcome Mr. Shannon Dale Reed.
Traditional media in the top. So the matter of traditional media, Mr. Hector, I believe, spoke about several assets surrounding traditional media, even though focusing directly on community radio itself. Now, media has been around for years, for ages, and from early days, cave days, we're talking about the matter of painting, we're talking about the matter of turning into mass media. Now, media then channeled the matter of communication. It is the vehicle which carries message, which we all know, from one person to another. and it became much bigger. Now, the evolution of media is what we're looking at, and how we can manage and deal with the evolution of media. So throughout history, there have been many, many major changes surrounding media that we're talking about, from how it's produced to how it's consumed. So those two elements, how it's produced and how it's consumed. Now, this led to the intervention of print media, which we all know about. This was in the 15th century. Print media was the first. And then we saw the matter of mass production of books, etc., coming into play, therefore increasing literacy. From literacy being increased, we then saw the matter of the development in the 20th radio, which is my passion, right? So radio, I've been in radio for approximately 15 years. I look young, but it is the facts. I've been in radio for almost 15 years, but we're going to talk about my experience a little bit later. Let's just kind of just lay the ground of the principle first, right? So the 20th century, we saw that of the matter of radio coming into play. And everybody was like, oh my God, this is new. This is fresh. This is amazing. All right, cool, nice. Then we saw the emergence, if you want to put it that way, of television. Yeah. And television became that thing that everybody loved, because guess what? If I can see you, I feel better. I am more connected to you. So people were happy and great about that. Communication continued. The evolution then saw several things being changed. This is the matter of the evolution of the internet. Yeah? The internet then came, and this came with everybody now becoming a social media personality or classifying themselves as media personalities. This simply happened because send emails, so email blast, if anybody knows about that, that's still effective up to this day for public relations specialists. The matter of blogs, it's still important for certain companies, especially if you deal with finance. It's really good to have a blog relating to what it is that you do. Now, the matter of, we move from blogs and all of them, something, I don't know if you remember WordPress days, you know? Yeah, I remember WordPress. I still have a WordPress. You know, I still write. I love to write. So that's another thing that evolved. Yeah. And Twitter became where everybody shared their thoughts, their opinions, everything that they want. It matters not. We then heard about Facebook. Facebook then came. But before Facebook, we had High Five. We had MySpace. Now, how did it all come together? It came together simply because of one thing. People seeking the opportunity to communicate. People seeking the opportunity to pass on information, whether they believe the information is correct or not. They found the opportunity to utilize it in this way. Remember how Facebook came about? Facebook came about simply because of the fact of a bunch of friends came together and said, listen, we need to now be able to communicate with each other. That's basically what it was. And then it transcended, if you want to put it that way, into what it is today. It was opened up to the public. Everybody got the opportunity to tap into it, find friends from wherever they would not normally find friends. And guess what? Facebook and Twitter today, even though we have Instagram, are still the more dominant social media sites, simply because it has over 86% of internet users utilizing Facebook and Twitter more than they're utilizing Instagram, TikTok, you know. But nonetheless, we're putting it together. How important is it? Why is it important? Let me give you a prime example. So in 2016, the election that took place, the first time we had the opportunity of placing social media in the realm of election. That has never been done in Jamaica. That took at CVM TV. I had the opportunity to be the one to lead the CVM team into that, along with, of course, Judith Bodley. And I'm sure you might know Judith Bodley, an amazing woman. So we led the CVM team into that era of social media, utilizing opinions and views. Now, why was this important? It's important because it matters. Okay, you have the specialist, but it's always important for you to get the quote unquote layman, the man on the road, the man who knows what it is that he's feeling. And that's the reason why we brought the new media it is into what it was with traditional media. If you realize also, and I'm going to give you a bunch of examples here because it's unfortunate we can't talk and rap together. I like doing that. But if you realize several media houses have changed the way in which they do several things since 2016. So the following election that took place, which was roughly 4 years after that, Television Jamaica went ahead and installed a digital board. Why was the digital board installed? Simply because they saw the need and the importance of getting the opinion. They also have something called the opinion, I think it is, or viewer's opinion. That was something that was also installed. Vital, because it's important to get the views and opinions of people. Moving on, we then saw Nationwide becoming fully digital. Nationwide became digital simply because they understood no longer are people listening to radio, believe it or not. The trajectory surrounding the market survey have shown that radio have been losing a lot of listeners. That proved that they needed to what? They had to what? Roll with the punches. Rolling with the punches simply meant, all right, we now need to find different alternatives, utilizing where it is that the people are. The people are on social media. That's where they're getting their news. That's where they're getting all the information. And so we know what we do. This is Nationwide saying this. So Nationwide says, we know what we are doing. And so let's put our information online. Putting their information online. Guess what? Nationwide today, undoubtedly, is the number one source for news. That proved a lot. So new media has evolved, but so has traditional media. Traditional media has to roll with what it is that new media. Yeah, we'll say that there are some cons to social media. And the truth is there are some cons. But the cons only come if you have somebody who fully don't understand what it means surrounding being a part of a traditional media entity. So we have several news or so-called news entities that have rised online. Now, not saying that we're knocking them, but the point is understanding the principles surrounding journalism is still important. So the principles are what won't get you in trouble, even though the reality of it is social media in and of itself has no rules and regulation. And why it has no rules and regulation? Because we're coming back down to the first thing that I said earlier. Views and opinions of people are vitally on, and we have to understand that it is important. And for it to be important, it means that we have to support what it is that we bring to the table as journalists. All right. Now, I want to quickly look at the relationship between the traditional and new media. Now, in spite of many ways and opinions and views relating to both, several people in traditional media don't think new media is important. And then there are persons who are in new media not thinking that traditional media is, of any vital importance at this moment because they believe television has died. They believe print has died. They believe that the matter of radio has died, but it still has a place. That place is providing factual information. And how it is that the traditional media can infuse that is simply by stepping into the place where the people are, which is the new media. So believe it or not, we've got to evolve. Well, we've got to evolve where that is concerned and support it 100. So I'm looking for something that somebody said who I support 100%. This was Marcia Forbes. So Dr. Marcia Forbes, that is. So Dr. Marcia Forbes in 2011, I believe it is, She did a research surrounding the matter of modern media. There was, quote unquote, roughly 46 newspapers, 59 local television stations, 7 television networks, 112 news websites, but none of them really had the ability to match that of the tradition of that of the new media. We're talking about Facebook and Twitter. Those are the more dominant social pages for the matter of news. Yes, TikTok has come and TikTok has allowed you to be more creative with it. But the truth in and of itself, Facebook and Twitter are still more dominant because you have more people on those sites. Now, according to her, she said that the matter of her doing the research proved that over 17 million TikTok followers were not really engaged by the local media entities or the media entities in and of itself, because they were more gained towards their attention was more gained towards the matter of the Kardashians. We know about the Kardashians, we know about the misinformation they put out, but guess what? It is the way in which they deliver such information. So what I'm coming back down to is being creative. It's about you as journalists, as potential journalists also, to infuse your creativity in what is already there. It makes no sense for us to assume that it's not important. It's vitally important. We just need to understand that our principles relating to journalism still matter and is still of vital importance, and we need to know how we use it. However, jargons have to change. What is that you post on Instagram should not be the same that you post on Twitter. How it is that you present it is vitally important. That is where a lot of times most media houses fail. If you look at it, I'm going to give you a vital example and a homework to an extent. I want you to look at how it is that it is done on Nationwide. And I'm using Nationwide simply because they're the more dominant media house for social media. So I have 2 minutes to go, and I'm practically in the wrapping up of it. So utilize them. Look at how it is that they present their story on Instagram, on Facebook. Pretty much the same, isn't it? But Twitter gets a higher traction and a higher rate of interaction. However, if you utilize that of BBC or CNN, you realize how it is that they present the story is very different from how they present it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's where we need to get to. Another thing I want to quickly hit on is the matter of how it is that several companies have now worked with the Punch, that is, and have gone ahead to have their own social media personalities, which again can 100% be journalists, because then themselves from any form of lawsuits. Very important. However, at the same time, creativity is important and should not be put on the back burner. So in the essence of everything, I hope you get something. And that one thing is understanding that both traditional media and new media work together for 100% the development of media. So media on a whole, right? And media itself is where you provide the information, you provide that interaction, you provide everybody to provide their own views and opinions on something, and understanding also that you 100% have to be creative, but understanding the legalities surrounding it. So thanks again. The name is Shannon Dale.
You, Shannon Dale, I think you meant to say content and digital boss. See, now I know there was a reason behind it, this name, right? See how we learned about content creation, the evolution of, and how to make creativity spring our careers. Pure awesomeness. And by the way, please remember to do the homework assigned by content and creator boss. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to take this time out to welcome the guests that are joining us on the online platform and students who are coming in right now, along with parents. And I want to big up our one sponsor, or our sponsor rather, Water. And as we move along, we could not have brought an event like this without, telling you the different careers in this field. And bringing you this information is Dr. Alpha Obika, who is a favorite of mine, a lecturer. And he is no stranger to communication. In fact, he is a creative industry consultant whose focus is in policy analysis and development, public relations, event planning, and project management, including training and development. Kindly welcome Dr. Alpha Obika.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And I first of all want to especially thank those of you who are here with us in person. We do have a live stream on YouTube, but we felt it necessary because we are located in Western Jamaica campus to give you the opportunity to come and meet us. All right? So I am the coordinator of the Caribbean School of Media and Communication. And many of the young people you see walking around looking very busy, they are my students. And this is their final year project where we are promoting the Western Jamaica campus, UE, but they are also planning this symposium to engage in critical discussion around community media, because all of us are being influenced by technology. All of us are on social media. So first of all, let me ask those in person to give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. And to congratulate the students on a job well done. We have a number of persons who are viewing the event online across the country and some across the region. So, on behalf of my director at the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, Dr. Livingston White, I just want to quickly share with you that my School of Media and Communication is almost 50 years old, and we offer a number of very exciting programs, journalism being the oldest one, digital media production. We offer 2 fine arts degrees in animation and film production. But the program that is here at the Western Jamaica campus is the Integrated Marketing Communication Program, also called IMC. And one of the things I want to share with you is that in this world where technology is converging and influencing everything that we do, if you study radio, you have to understand the internet. If you study the internet, and you're a media professional, you have to also specialize in other areas, project management, event planning. You have to understand how to write a news story. So the lines have become blurred. Usually when you listen to radio, you're okay with just hearing a voice. Now we want to see. We want to see the individuals, okay? And many of the persons who write in newspapers or they're on television, they also broadcast across other forms of media. Now, you know the beauty about technology now? Technology has empowered all of us to become creators. It doesn't empower us to be broadcasters. And some of us, although we may call ourselves journalists, unless you go through that training that we offer, you kind of need to consider, for all of the social media influencers out there, some level of upskilling or professional training. At CARIMAC, we offer that for you. And I know that at the Western Jamaica campus, We're also engaged in preparing a suite of short courses. So if you want to do some photography or a web design, we will have courses that can accommodate you. So with this said, I want to say congratulations to you once more for being here. And to my students, consider studying at the University of the West Indies, Western Jamaica campus. It's an absolutely beautiful campus overlooking the Caribbean Sea. You can see the planes come and go. We're in the heart of the tourism industry. There's no better place to study, all right? And I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And I also want to say a special thank you to those who have joined us online. This is my students' final year project, so please support before you leave by completing the evaluation. It is very important for them. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the event.
My name is Shajna Gums. I'm the General Manager and Marketing Person for the group.
Working in Communications and Public Relations.
I am currently the Administrative Assistant at Media Training JA.
Those who are in the industry and even your classmates.
Make the most of every opportunity to network and to ensure that your personal brand is visible.
Recognize what is a business relation, what is a personal relation, and how not to get those intertwined.
In the media industry,
Yet fulfilling.
expect to always be on the go because there's always something that is happening.
You have to have a clear vision of who you are and what you want to achieve.
Helped me to be where I am today because of the dynamic individuals.
Public relations, and this was developed at CARIMAC, where I would have honed my media literacy skills as well as my love for brand and image management.
The time I spent there with the teachers, the lecturers, the students, the relationships I've built, the knowledge I've gained, set the foundation for exactly what I am doing now and who I am as an individual.
for that lovely presentation. I'm also a product of the CARIMAC, and I'm making my way, I can say, slowly along the way. Thank you. Let me see the hands of those who have a social media account. Okay, quite a number. What about those who know how to properly use said account? What about those who know the positive or negative effects of using social media? All right. Well, we'll learn about this in short order by Mr. Gregory Smith. He is an he has an educational background and has been a teacher for over 11 years. He is a singer and actor who has studied at the Michael University College, and in 2020, at the height of COVID, he partnered with Motivate JA on mental matters. So he's fully equipped to tell us all the effects of social media and mental health. Please help me welcome Mr. Gregory Smith in the online world.
It is well deserved. So we just want to jump straight into it. I'm here to speak to you today about social media and mental health. Now, if we're going to get into it, we want to actually just define these terms. Now, social media, we know it to be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all of that. But Kaplan and Halen in 2020, they gave us an unofficial, what they would call their definition for social media. And it says social media is a group of internet-based applications that build on the ideological and technological foundations of Web 2.0. And it basically just allows us to create and exchange user-generated content. I want you to bear in mind the last three words of that, user-generated content, because it's going to be very important when we look at how it affects us not long from now. All right, so I want to move from social media to the pros of social media. Now, everything that we do, it can either have a positive or a negative reaction, and this is no different. Now, some of the pros of social media is that it's used to educate. It is used to connect us. We no longer have to wait days and hours to reach somebody. We have them at the click of a button. Social media is also used to raise awareness, and it can also be used for the dissemination of information in a much quicker time span than we are used to. And so I want to roll from the pros into the cons, because some of those same things that are considered pros, depending on how it is used, it can be considered a con just the same, because while it is used to raise awareness, depending on who is using it and how it is used, it can also lead to misinformation. So you always want to bear that in mind. Social media is also used as a tool for bullying. It can also be used as a tool for snooping, because people want people to know what they're doing. I remember some years ago, there was this hashtag. I'm trying to remember it. My current situation. And so everywhere you went, you had to snap a photograph and you put it up. But then we didn't have stories. It was a post and you put the hashtag my current situation, because we wanted to be a part of the know. We wanted everybody to know that this is what we're doing at this time. And so for somebody who wants to fly under the radar, that can be a little bit difficult, because people can track your every move when you tend to post like this. And so, like I said, it can be used in a negative way. And the last one I want to look at is that one of the biggest cons of social media is that it can be addictive. I did a course sometime last year, and we were tasked by our lecturer to give up something for a period of, I believe it was 3 months. And I took the step. I decided I wanted to do social media, and I defined what it meant for me in that time. And so I gave up everything. I gave up TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I only kept WhatsApp for the sake of communicating with people. So I didn't post any statuses. I didn't watch any statuses. And it was so interesting. I recognized just how dependent I was on social media. It was used to deal with so many little different things. I would be in a setting and I would be nervous, I would be unsettled, and bam, I would just go for my phone and I would start fidgeting. And it was through that exercise I recognized just how heavily reliant I was on social media, which leads me into the whole issue of mental health. Now, mental health, according to mentalhealth.gov, they say it includes our emotional or psychological and our social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we also act. It also helps to determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and how we make choices. And so we are plugged into a world where we're seeing everything that's happening around us. And we oftentimes take the focus from ourselves. There's a saying that says comparison is the thief of joy. And so we see all these things happening and we don't have a filter where our minds are concerned most of the time to kind of decipher what is real and what isn't, because what we need to understand is that there are some things on social media that are real. We aren't able to tell, but we cling to it. What we need to understand is that it, just like a movie, it's make-believe. You think of your favorite movie that hits the theaters, and then they put out a DVD 3 to 6 months after that, and that DVD or Blu-ray, whatever it is now, has deleted scenes. Now, when you look at those deleted scenes, you see just how well it could have fit into the movie that you would have seen on screen. Now, somebody decided in that moment that this was the story that they wanted to tell. And so that is what you saw on screen. Social media is no different. People get to choose what it is they want to share when they want to share it. I'm sure when we're taking our photos and we're putting it on Snapchat, we want to ensure that the lighting is proper, the clothes looks good, and the filters that we sometimes incorporate. How many of us have ever actually seen somebody get up and post a picture of them? They just rolled out of bed, hair, nappy, and everything. Probably put it up as a story and then it disappears. But you will not see it in a post living there on the internet. And so it's very telling. So people get to tell us or show us what they want us to see. And oftentimes what we see is not the biggest or the greatest picture. It's not a true representation. We always want to bear that in mind. Why is that important? I said at the start that it is user-generated content. You decide what you want to put there. And so there are times when we are grappling and we're all about the place and we try to compare ourselves as what is Tom doing over there? What is Jane doing there? And so in that, we find ourselves dealing with inadequate thoughts. We sometimes become depressed because we have an idea of what life should be for us and why is it happening for Tom, why is it happening for Harry, and I'm sitting here and it's not happening for me. When we don't know if it is actually happening for Tom, Dick, Jane, or Harry, because I've seen persons, there are people who will dress up and put on their clothes and they go to specific spots. They do this in 2 weekends, and then you see a post that will come out probably every month, and you think that these people are out there every month going somewhere new, doing something else, and you get caught up in that and not knowing that it is not actually happening right now. And so you always want to be mindful of that. We need to be very careful so that we don't take on all of that. We need to remember, one, that we are here for a very specific purpose, and our journey is not like anybody else's. No matter how similar it may be, persons may be going through the same things, and you want to be able to just shut out. And so I'm going to go through some tips now that you want to employ. While it's good to to be connected, it is also very good to disconnect. The virtual space is a good one, but there's nothing like experiencing people in person. There's nothing like experiencing things in person. So while you want to connect, it's very important that you also disconnect. You want to ensure that you do not take on the pressures of social media, in the sense that I have about 2 minutes left, so let me wrap it up for you. Photo I would have seen some years ago. So there's a little boy looking out at his window, and he said he saw somebody walking by, and he said, I wish I could walk. I believe he was in a wheelchair. And the person that was walking saw somebody on a bicycle, and that person wanted the bicycle. The person on the bicycle wanted a car that pulled up next to them. And so sometimes it may seem like it's never enough, but you always want to be mindful of where you are, what you're doing, and understand that you need to trust and honor the process, because like I said, your journey is different from your friend, it's different from your mother, it's different from your father, and you want to help to break down those things. Do not be fooled for a minute that everything that you see on social media is what it is. I'm going to end with a quote from one of my favorite books, Harry Potter series. And one of the characters said, it does not do to dwell on dreams if you forget to live. It's good to have all these aspirations and your ideals of what it is that you want to do or what your life should look like. Yes, I'm not saying no. It's always good to have that. But do not get so stuck on these things that you forget to actually immerse yourself in the experience that is life. I want to thank you so much for having me today. Thank you so much. Take care and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith, especially you coming on at such short notice. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you educating us today on the pros and cons of using social media, and to letting us know that the concerns where mental health is concerned. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to kindly re-invite Dr. Obika back on stage to give special thanks to the Mona School of Business.
Thank you very much. I want to especially thank the Mona School of Business and Management, who have set up a booth at the back. And please, if you are interested, please check Ms. March and Ms. Campbell, who will tell you all about the exciting programs. They have a lot. BSc in accounting, operations, human resource management, marketing, general management, tourism, and entrepreneurship. They also have master's programs offered right here at the Western Jamaica campus that you should know of, and also for some of my students who will be graduating soon. They have a internationally recognized MBA. They also have MSc programs in accounting, computer-based management information systems, corporate finance. They have a master's in marketing and data analytics. That one seems to be quite popular with a lot of my graduates, as well as masters in national security and logistics and supply chain management. So they have a suite of courses that you should check out, Mona School of Business and Management. Thank you. And just to remind you that the School of Media and Communication also offers 5 undergrad programs. I know that for many of you here, you say, oh, why are we advertising? Of course, this is our opportunity. And for many of you online, consider not only our undergraduate, but our graduate programs. We're serious about research here at the University of the West Indies. So I know we're coming to a close, but I really hope that you stick around for some refreshments after. And let me once again invite Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Obika. And I want to just again reiterate this event. It would not have been a success with or the input of the finalizing student of the integrated marketing communication students from Carimac from the Western Jamaica campus of the UE. And as I call their name, I want you to see the face behind this project. Miss Brianne Irons, please come and take center stage. Luanique Hodges, Amani Dickinson, Celine Thompson, Alethea Campbell, Shaniqua Campbell, Ronaldo Burke, Laney Coach, and Shade Berry. Please give them a round of applause. So as we are winding down, please don't move as yet. We are at probably the climax of this presentation, the prizes and the surprises. So now we're going to find out who did pay attention. All right? So I'm inviting Miss Brianne Edwards to lead this section. Irons. Oh my God, why am I butchering your name? Please come here.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brianne Iron. Some of you may notice me from the school tour. I'd like to say thank you to all the students, from the Mount Alvernia High School for Girls, Sixth Form, as well as those who are from the Herbert Marson High School as well. And all, our live studio audience. We really appreciate seeing all the beautiful faces here today, right? Now, as Miss Brown mentioned, we are going to be doing some giveaways today. So for each round of questions, we're going to have one representative that is from our live audience, as well as one that's from the YouTube stream that we're having to answer questions, and you're eligible to win, some great prizes before we move into the refreshments. So for the first question that we have, very, very simple question, starting it off easy. I'd like someone to come up and name 3 careers in media. Very easy question. So any 3 careers in media and communications from the integrated marketing and communications program, just 3 careers. Even if you know 2, you can come still and we can see if we can work out something for you. Yeah. So you can come up if you want to participate. And persons on the chat as well, you're also eligible for a prize, so you can send your responses in the chat. But we have a lovely representative here. Can you go ahead with your name?
Good morning. My name is Joanna Lewis.
Hi, Joanna. Can you give Joanna a round of applause? All right, Joanna, and you're on the spot now. So name 3 careers in media to win your prize.
Web designing, journalism, digital marketing.
Great. All right, so you are now going to be, you can come for your prize. You don't want your prize? All right, so we're going to be presenting you with your prize on behalf of the WESTMAC team, some UE memorabilia. So when you are ready to come to the University of the West Indies, you already have some, branded items to show off on your other classmates and so. Lovely, lovely. And has anyone responded in the chat as yet? No, the persons on the YouTube stream, they don't want any prize. All right, so we're going to have the question one more time. We need 3 careers that are in media. While we're waiting on the persons that are in the YouTube chat, we are going to have the second question. Now, for the second question, who's ready? Who think they can answer it before I even ask the question? Wow. Nobody? You have to be confident in yourself, once you're working in media. Okay. Now, this is also a very simple question. Who can tell me the name of our group for the project? It's everywhere. You can probably catch it on the TV. Anybody that can provide us with the name of the group that is staging this symposium today? You have to come up and come to the mic, man. We don't take audience responses. You have to come up to the podium. So anyone that knows the name of the group, you win a prize. All right, while we're waiting on someone from our beautiful studio audience to come up, we have some persons that are responding in the chat. So the first person to provide a response was Miss Chanel Thomas. She said that 3 careers in media would be a public relations officer, which is correct, a journalist, which is also correct, and an event planner. All right, so a round of applause for Miss Chanel Thomas on the YouTube chat. She will be winning herself a gift certificate. So Chanel, we are going to have it sent over to you via email since, she's virtual. She's from the Mona campus that is in Kingston. So she'll be getting her prize virtually as well. And you can send your email in the chat, Chanel, so that we're able to have that sent over to you. Now, the person who is answering the question from our live studio audience, I see you making your way up. And the question was, what is the name of the group? You want to answer the first? That question gone long time. So what is the name of the group that is in charge of this symposium today?
WESTMAC?
Yes, that is correct. Woo. And can you provide everyone with your name, please?
My name is Dene Ricketts.
Dene, all right, great. Round of applause once more for Dene. And she will be presented with her prize, just the same. Some wonderful UE branded items. Alrighty, and virtual prizes will also be given to the members of our audience. Hi, Mr. Medley, do you want to answer a question? The first question? All right, let's see if you can answer the first question. Let's welcome Mr. Medley to the stage. He's attempting to answer the first question, which is to name 3 careers in media. And you cannot repeat what was said before, so it has to be 3 careers that were not mentioned.
Okay, so we can do audio engineering, that's one.
Okay.
We can do content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and for content creation, I can be a cinematographer. That's different from being a content creator.
All right. Well, you were correct. Can you give Mr. Medley an applause, please?
Yeah, so we get one a big prize, right?
Exit stage left. Come on now. All right. And then in the chat, we also had responses as well for the second question, which was what was the name of the group that is hosting the symposium today? The first person to answer correctly is Dawn Edwards, which said WESTMAC. So let's give Dawn a round of applause. And Dawn will also be receiving her gift certificate virtually. So Dawn, you can send us your email address so that you're able to receive your prize. Now, the prizes don't stop here. It's just that the questions have stopped. So for those who haven't gotten a prize as yet, you still want to, win a prize. I have something else that's easy for you. So we have a post-evaluation form. It's going to be sent in the YouTube stream for those persons who are on virtually so that they can fill out the form. And we do have the paper forms that are at the back. So the first person to complete their form, I'm not saying you must rush through the form now and just put a stick beside anything. The first person to properly fill out the form will also receive a prize. So for our live audience, you can make your way to the back to that lovely red table there. We also have members that are from the Mona School of Business Management here as well. So if any of you have any questions about the offerings here at the Western Jamaica campus in the Mona School of Business, or if you have any questions for the members of WESTMAC and the Integrated Marketing and Communications Program, you can feel free to, just stop one of us, ask some questions, because we're going to be here to assist and provide you with all the information. But thank you, everyone, for your participation and for attending today. We definitely appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, team. I would have said you can take your seat, but since all of you guys scampered away, I'm asking Miss Celine Thompson to come and to give the closing remarks.
To my esteemed guests, distinguished speakers, and fellow participants, It gives me great pleasure to express my gratitude and appreciation to you all for making this symposium a success. Today's event has been an extraordinary gathering of brilliant minds, and I am honored to have been a part of such experience. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our keynote speakers for sharing their invaluable insights and expertise with us. Your presentations were inspiring, and I am sure that the knowledge you've imparted will be put to good use by all of us. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all the speakers who contributed to our Careers in Media segment. Though virtually, your contributions have been crucial to the success of this symposium, and your work has been a source of inspiration to us all. In addition, I would love to thank our attendees who came from various institutions and actively participated in our symposium. We would also like to thank our sponsors and partners for their generous support and involvement. Special thanks to WATA, RJR, More FM, KC Loan Services, and Mona School of Business for their partnership. Your contribution to the symposium has been invaluable, and we greatly appreciate your support. Lastly, we appreciate the hard work and dedication of our organizing team and our technical team, who worked tirelessly to ensure the smooth execution of this symposium. Once again, thank you all so very much for your participation and contribution. And we look forward to future collaborations and hope to see you all very soon. Thank you.
You know, an interesting fact I learned today. I know we're winding down. We've already given the vote of thanks, but I want to share what I've learned. An interesting fact about community media. It has been used as a tool for social and political change in many parts of the world. Community media, such as community radio, TV, and a newspaper, have provided a platform for marginalized groups to share their voices, stories, and perspectives with a wider audience. In some countries, community media has played a crucial role in promoting democracy, human rights, and social justice by providing an alternative to mainstream media and challenging the dominant narratives. This is how I know that today's symposium was very important to us all. Now, I want to give you just a general thank you and to add to what Ms. Thompson had said. Thank you all for coming out today. Do have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. For persons in the physical audience, we invite you to some refreshments that we have in the back. Feel free to go to the booth. Miss Brian Irons and Miss Celine Thompson is currently there. They're shaking their hands there. Thank you.
Brown on behalf of the WESTMAC team and CARIMAC and just the University of the West Indies, West Jamaica campus overall. We would want to extend our sincerest gratitude to you for being here today to host our event. We appreciate you taking the time to be here. We appreciate how nice you look. Look how she look nice. The lady look nice, don't? Yeah. So we want to thank you for being here. Thank you so, so much. So please accept this token.